can you give a chronological order or history from the time you were born to where you were raised to where you reside these days, if you care to share?
Okay, so I was born in Flushing Hospital in Queens, but like right after I got out the hospital, we went home to Astoria. Um, so I say Astoria, I'm from Astoria, but I don't know, maybe around like 2 or 3, I have no idea. We moved to Long Island, and I was in Deer Park, and then
And these can be grades or ages if that's easier to recall. And these are rough estimates here, of course.
yeah, I definitely at that point I definitely did not know, and then. Um, 21, pure soul blaze. But we left Long Island when I was like
Super rough.
whenever I don't
Elementary,
even know. Yeah,
middle.
I'm gonna say elementary school. Somewhere 7 or 10 or something like that. I don't really too much remember. And then I went down to Tampa. Yeah, we moved to Tampa, and then was in Tampa for until like middle school. I think maybe like 7th grade or something. And then we went to Orlando. My brother was going to college in Orlando. And then, I don't know, we just moved in with him. And then I was there until 21, I want to say. Or I guess like the year that I turned 21. But I came to Atlanta when I was 21 for my birthday. Like I turned 21 in Atlanta, and I like fell in love with the city. And while I was in Orlando, parents split, so I was going back and forth from New York, and my dad was in Manhattan. Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Was he still in Queens? Yeah, I think he was still in Queens because I would have to take the R train. But yeah, he was still in Queens. Um, and then just kept on visiting until 21. Then I came up here. I kind of just, that same year, I was like just getting sick of Orlando, and I could not take it no longer. And I didn't feel like I was going to go anywhere if I would have stayed there. Um, So I left and I came to Atlanta. And then during December of 2019, I left and I went to LA to try to see if I could whatever. and then and then the pandemic hit in 2020. I got stuck. Um, but I was like I felt like I was doing stuff at the time. So I stayed there for like a year and a half, and then I super left because, yeah, I ended up, that whole thing just went left. And then I came back to Atlanta because I was like, well, out of California and New York and Florida, Atlanta was just like the best mix. Like Atlanta feels like New York a little. It's like an affordable New York. And then the esque and like the bougie and like ness of it is like LA, feels like LA. Um, but it's like just comfortable. It's like nice. It's like comfortable. So I ended up coming back, and yeah, I've been chilling ever since.
And care to share your current age at this point?
I don't know if I should. I don't know if I should.
It's up to you.
I don't know if I should.
Your birthday while you're at it? The month and the day, perhaps?
It's February 6th.
Okay, now, circumstances could be different for everyone. But can you give the audience 5 tips on moving to ATL?
5 tips for moving to ATL. Probably, and these are like maybe the steps that I learned when I got here. Don't just believe anything anyone says. Definitely like check them. Like definitely like don't be afraid to like really like be like yo like what's up, like what's going on, like, cause it's Cap Atlanta. I mean, I love Atlanta, but the cap be real. And like when you first move here, like I know I can see all the cap now, but like when you first move here, you don't really know how much of a cap it's gonna be, but the cap is crazy. Like I've met guys that had 7 different cars, like literally 7 cars, and no food in their fridge, and not even no cups. Like they don't own cups. Like he kept on having to go buy plastic cups, and he couldn't even afford the plastic cups. It's crazy. Right, so don't just believe nothing. Like make sure you got your own entity, own everything. Like your own bread, your own things. I wouldn't really too much, not that you can't rely on people, but you can't rely on people. I mean, that's like a life thing, but I kind of felt like there was a point in time when I was in Atlanta, and when I came to Atlanta and I had a job, and then I lost the job and I went broke. And then when I was broke, nobody was fucking with me. And at first I was like offended, and I was like, what? Like, because then when I did start to become unbroke, you know, those same people that weren't fucking with me started fucking with me again. And at first I was offended by it, but don't take it to offense. It's just kind of like it's almost like a triggering thing. Like it's like the people who are in Atlanta have worked so hard to they've worked so hard to not go back to where they came from, that when they see it, they stay the fuck away from it. Like they don't want to be around that, because that's not, you are who you hang around type of thing. And don't like, and this I'll say is number 3, don't dick ride. Don't dick ride nobody. Like, it might seem like you got a dick ride to get into the position you want, but you don't. Don't dick ride. That'll probably get you in a worse position or a more embarrassing position. That's not something I did. I've never been that type of person. But it did start to happen kind of later on, or I've seen other people do it, and it doesn't get them anywhere. It gets them made fun of, talked about, looked bad. People here definitely will talk. So you don't want that attached to your name, because then, yeah, people are just not gonna fuck with you. 4
and 5 if you got a 4 and 5.
4 and 5. I'm gonna say 4. Be careful who you dating. I'm gonna say that this is one freaky ass town. And you just gotta be real sure about who you're dating or who you're fucking around with, all that. If you see the red flags, run, because them flags is very real. I'll keep that where that is. And then maybe 5, like when you're searching for like apartments or houses, maybe like look outside of the city. Like it's good to be in the city, of course, but there's a lot of really good priced things like kind of on the outskirts of the city, and you'll be like really close. Just definitely be careful with driving, because not only is there traffic and 5 lanes that people switch in and out of, but at night there are some areas in Atlanta or outside of Atlanta or whatever that have like no lights. Like no lights. Like it's like pretty dark. And if you're a little lit, you might crash. But like don't crash. Like just like, if you live on the outskirts, just take an Uber if you're gonna go like drinking.
Any bonus tips? You gave 5. Don't know if you have any additional.
Um, don't put it past anyone that they wouldn't do you wrong or like that they're not weird. There are some people that I've met in Atlanta that are like it can get weird. It can get weird. It can get weird. But I'm telling you, if you go back to number 1 and you don't believe anything everyone just says and you don't believe the cat, you'll be just fine. I think you'll be just fine.
Now, I wanted to hone in on one of these elements that you shared was a time when you were broke in Atlanta. Was that time in your life the brokest you've ever been monetarily?
Yes. Not that I was like just had nowhere to go. It was more so I didn't want to go back to my mom's house in Florida because I felt like I was just going to be equally as broke just in my mom's house, which some might say is better, but I wanted to go out in the world and learn how to survive. And that's almost an experience. Like, can I go from $0 to not $0? And yeah, that was the brokest ever was. I didn't know how to make money. Um, I didn't come from the richest family. Probably came from like regular, my mom did what she could. So I just didn't know how. I mean, she's first generation. I'm first generation American. So a lot of like first generation kids were kind of like just winging it because our parents they know enough to get into this country, but they don't really like super know. They don't know about credit. They don't know about all that extra stuff. Like my mom knows about it now, but growing up, they don't really, it's a language barrier. Like it's all that type of stuff. So it's kind of like, I got hopes on being rich. And well, I am now in the not, I'm above the poverty line. So that's good. But yeah, like it was just kind of like, I didn't know how to make a lot of money. And I'll say that, like, maybe not all of Florida. Maybe Miami has better opportunities or maybe Tampa. But in Orlando, like, it is so quick to, like, drag you down and make you broke or arrest you or put you on drugs. That's what I saw, like, happening to so many people. And so, like, a lot of people work like 2 jobs and it's still not enough. Like when I was young and I was working, like minimum wage was like $7.49. And that's crazy. Like $7 per hour. That's like if you work like and they're you're like young, they're only giving you like 6-hour shifts. That's like $42 or something like that or whatever. Like for the whole day. Like that's no type of I mean, it's not that it's not type of money. If you are doing that, keep going and build up, but that's not, personally, for me, that's not a way to live. So I just didn't think I was going to make any more money there. But coming to Atlanta, there's like a lot of opportunity to make money. It's almost like Atlanta literally throws money at Black people. So, but I wasn't getting a hang of it. I just wasn't, maybe I was being scared. I don't know what. Or maybe I was trying not to scam or do things immorally. I didn't want to make money immorally. So I just wasn't making nothing. And I think at that time too, there's like a lot of kidnappings going on with like Uber. So I was like, I'm not going outside. I'm not going to get kidnapped. Like that's crazy. And I don't know. I was just like really scared. I don't know what I was doing. I was just being young and dumb, I guess. I don't know, like really young, because I'm still young. But I was just sleeping on like at a friend's house or like an ex's house or like another friend or whatever, sleeping on their couch, sleeping on the floor. Like that was like really the brokest time of my entire life. And yeah, I mean like I think the pandemic, like I was like broke for like 3 years. So like the pandemic did kind of give everyone probably more money than before, like than ever. Not than ever, but a lot of people were making a lot of money. So I got out of it, but yeah, I was definitely broke for like 3 years, but like willingly. I was like trying to just figure it out. I was like, how do I go? How do I get my own car? How do I get my own place? How do I survive?
And what's the answer to that question? How did you do it? Because there may be somebody in a similar position as you watching and listening to this interview.
I would say stay focused. I think a lot of the problem that I was doing was not focusing. Like I was focusing on niggas. I was focusing on trying so hard to be famous. And as much as a lot of artists, we, chase this dream, it makes absolutely no sense to be broke because you can't even, nowadays, you can't even get taken seriously unless you putting up the bread anyways for all different types of stuff. Not like you're paying to get into the industry, but you are paying for music videos, sound, music quality, clothes, all of that, like everything, all that cost. So, um, staying focused, not caring, putting yourself first. You have to be a little bit selfish. You don't have to be selfish like, oh, you can't have some chips out of my bag of chips, but like definitely like if your gut is telling you like maybe I shouldn't do it, definitely don't do it. That's what I really started doing. I started listening to my gut. I started being like, okay, like there's no reason to hang out with guys. And this is maybe like some of the tips are for girls and some of the tips is for everyone. There's no reason to hang out with a guy after 10 p.m. After 10 p.m. is demon time. So there's no like that guy, he ain't got nothing for you, girl. Bye. Like, if he's not changing your life, if he's not helping changing your life, and like obviously, then get out of there. He's pointless. If you just want to smoke, fuck that nigga. No, none of that shit. Like, no. But even with friends, like, I kind of got to a point where I was like, why am I going to the club and like popping bottles? Like, what am I celebrating? Like, I'm the only one that's broke. Like, everybody else here got money and I don't. So, like, I don't have any reason to be here. Like, if people start to get angry with you because you're dedicating time for yourself to work on yourself, those are not your friends. So fuck them people because they're not going to be there later because they didn't want you to see, they didn't want to see you win. They didn't want to see you focus. Me, I disappeared off the face of the earth. I got so tired of people. I didn't speak to a single human being. I found my own way. Me personally, my mother, saint. I was like so broke. She had paid off some tickets that I had from my car because when I was broke, I could not pay my car anymore and it got repoed. And so, I don't know, I had some tickets or something like that. And she paid my tickets. So I was able to start doing Uber, which makes a lot of money in Atlanta. Um, it's a good way to like not have a boss and like make your own money at your own pace. It's a great way of doing it. And they had this program where you could rent cars. So it was like 300 weekly, but the amount of money that it sounds like a lot, but that is how much money you're making. I started doing like math. And I was like, okay, like I want to make X amount of time, X amount of money a year. And I knew how much I wanted to make a year by calculating what I wanted to spend my money on. So I was like, if I want an apartment, researching a lot of research, like literally research everything. What type of apartment you want to live in, what type of car you want to drive, how you want to look. I mean, I pay $150 for my nails. This wig is $500. Getting the installation is like $250. My nails are $60. My clothes, all that, like it's so much money. And so I'm like, okay, and then like average rent, depending on where you live in Atlanta, can range from. Now you don't want to live somewhere where it's like 1,200, but like I mean, if you gotta do 1,200, you gotta do 1,200. At least you got a roof over your head. But somewhere around 1,200 to like 2,000, you know, if you're like in this area or whatever. I wanted like more modern looking stuff, so that's somewhere in the range of like 1,500 to like, uh, you know, 1,900, 2,000, so on and so forth. So calculating all that and then like timesing it by the year, and then I got to a number. I was like, okay. So then I was striving to make around $200, and this is like back in 2021. I was striving to make $200 every day doing Uber. So I would drive every day like and I would not go to sleep. Like, I would sleep at the airport here at Hartsfield and, like, wait for my phone to, like, ring so that I could, just be constantly getting money. And I save my money. Do not spend your money again. You don't need that Chick-fil-A. You don't need that Benihana's. You don't need none of that. You can go to Walmart, Publix, Whole Foods, or the DeKalb Farmers Market, which is the greatest place ever, and get food that you can cook. YouTube if you can't cook. It's basically like being like unexcusable. Like, if you got excuses all day, you're never gonna like make it nowhere. But I stopped with the excuses, I stopped with the games, I stopped with the distractions. I literally like shut everything out and only had like this tunnel vision, and all I could think about was, how am I gonna make money today? How am I gonna make money? How am I gonna make money? How am I gonna make money? And then like redirecting my mind into thinking like that had everything just, going in that direction. It was kind of like, oh, my friends would be like, oh, well, come with us over here. And I'd be like, I would love to, but I have to go do Uber. And you could ask any of my friends. Like, they were like, oh, Renee's always doing Uber. So much to the point where they weren't even inviting me out anywhere because they were like, we know you're doing Uber. So, but I did that for a really long time. I did that for like a year and a half before I started streaming. You just have to find like whatever you're gonna make money off of. I don't care what it is. You can make OnlyFans. You can go work at an office. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but like saving that money and then finding ways to multiply it and like keeping that focus. I'm gonna say it's like really focusing.
Now, just a quick rough calculation here, $200 a day, 30 days in a month, that's $6,000 in 1 month. Were you seeing $6,000 describing the way you worked with Uber, for Uber, or did you even get more than $6,000 in some months?
Yeah. I definitely was not playing about that 200. I would not stop until I saw $200 in that Uber account, and then I would transfer it. But also, I'm an influencer too. I went viral back in 2020, and so I had a lot of brand deals. That's also pretty easy, especially if you're like a content creator. You reach out to companies and you'd be like, hey, do you want to collaborate? And then once you start collaborating with companies, other companies start to reach out, and then you tell them that you charge, so on and so forth. I ended up doing like this creator deal with like Facebook or something, and then they were paying me like a lot of money. So I was just doing that, and I was like trying to find more and more ways of making income. Definitely don't just have one stream of income. You can't always rely on that. Try to think of other ways. It doesn't matter if you're literally going to Walmart and buying like like little beads and making little bracelets. Like, someone somewhere is going to buy something, like, for no reason. I don't care if you sell it for $1 and you're only making like an extra $50 a week or a month. It will count. It will add up later. Like, most people, I think I broke it down to my friend. I had a conversation with my friend who's like having a hard time, and he was like, I'm trying to just buy a car, because if I had a car, that would be, it would help out a lot. And then I was like, you can get like, there's a million different ways to get cars. You can get, if you can, it's like you can get like free cars on like Facebook Market. There's some people that just give cars away. But if that's not an option, you can go to the auction, or you can go to like whatever, drive around, like, or like, whatever, like see like cars on the side. Most like hoopties, like little something to start off with, is gonna be like around $2,000, $2,000, $3,000. You can make $2,000 if you in 100. I think, because he wanted to make it like by his birthday. I think it was like less than 150 days, maybe like 138 days or 150 days around. If you save $15 for like 138 days or 150 days or something like that, you'll make $2,000. And that's just in 100, whatever amount of days. And, we have 365 days in the year. So $15, you can go ask somebody for $15 every day. Oh, and that too, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Now, were you able to see, 6,000 roughly steadily with Uber at the time?
Yeah, for sure. There's always an event going on in Atlanta. It felt like a video game, honestly. It didn't even feel real, because like at certain times on Uber, it'll like be red, and it'll be like, oh, if you drive to this exact point, you'll get like plus $15. So I would just drive to that point and then do the $15. And then like I started making this whole way where I was like, okay, if I can make the most amount of money in the least amount of time, then I'm maximizing. So I'll drive all the way to the 15 point and then turn it on and get the 15 plus and then do like a ride for like $10. So it's like a 5-minute ride. So now I made $25 in like 10 minutes versus 10 in 10 minutes. And I was just like, it really literally felt like an arcade game. It was like kind of trippy, but it was really easy. A lot of people were really surprised that I was doing Uber. They're like, what's a pretty girl like you doing Uber? And I'm like, man, hustling. Like, I am busting my ass. Like, it's not as dangerous as a lot of girls may feel. And I think Uber started doing it now to where they pair a lot of girl drivers with girls. So, or maybe you have the option of doing that or something like that. Also, Uber Eats, sometimes it would be slow. There were definitely times, like I think I was making most of my money off of airport rides. And I would, I think there was something, I think it got so cold that like planes weren't going, the weather was so bad that planes were not flying in and out of Hartsfield. So I really wasn't getting no rides like that because they would give it to like, they were doing like more Lyft because I think Lyft has like a deal with Delta. And so like a lot of business people would just already get their things off Lyft and I wasn't off Lyft and like so on and so forth. I also did a little bit of like finesse. I definitely eventually got tired of Uber. It would take me like 6 to 8 hours to make that $200, but like I was still needing to be an artist and I didn't want to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning, but I also didn't want to miss out on the events at night. So I did definitely, and this might not work for everybody, but I definitely did start shutting off the ride. And Uber might hate me, but whatever. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta get how you live. I would go pick up the person. I think I started finding out that from riders that they were paying like, let's say they had like a $40 ride. I was getting like less than half than that. So I was getting like $16 rather than like $20, you know? And I'm like, that's crazy because not only am I spending all day out on these Atlanta roads, so I'm like, raising the chances of me dying by 50% because half of my, like, most of my day is on the road. But also, this is my gas, my car, my wear and tear. So, like, why do I even care about Uber? They don't care about me. They're taking more than half of my money. Like, that's so not fair. So, I definitely would just go to the ride, pick them up, and then when they would get in the car, I'd be like, hi, I'm Renee, you know, whatever, blah, blah, I'm your driver. So I'm going to shut off the ride, and that money, it won't charge, and this is a real game, but it won't charge the person, I hope I don't get in trouble with this, but it won't charge the person for the ride until the end of the ride because what if you hit traffic and whatever, blah, blah. So, like, it'll kind of just put their money on hold. So I would cancel the ride and then the money would go back to the person. And then I would be like, hey, you know, you already were planning on spending this amount of money to go to this place. So if you could just give that to me directly. And everyone was like, yeah, fuck Uber. Here you go. Here's the money. So I started, like, really maximizing my money. And then, yeah, I just kept doing that. And then that's how I was doing it.
Now, what's the most you would pull in 1 month's time without finessing Uber?
Without finessing Uber, I was still bringing in $6,000. It was just taking me much longer. And I was like, I did have time for it, but driving 6 to 8 hours is like, after 6 months, you're just like, no. No. And I didn't want to, like, I don't know. One time when I was, like, in 6th grade, this kid's mom came in for, like, I don't know, career day or whatever. She was, like, a truck driver. She was like, don't drive trucks because your butt will get flat. And she had a flat butt. And I was like, yeah, I don't want a flat butt. Like, I don't want to keep sitting on my butt all day. So I just didn't do it. I was just like, no. But that was, like, at the very end. I did not do that the entire time. Out of driving Uber for, like, a year and a half or whatever, I probably did it in, like, the last 3 months. I was getting desperate, but.
Okay, so what's the biggest check you saw in 1 month's time from Uber without finessing?
Um,
7,000, 8,000, 9,000?
no, definitely still around like definitely about 6,000. I was very like definite about that 200. I kind of wouldn't go over or below, and I would never go below. Sometimes I would hit like a little bit above, but that was like I kind of, since I was treating my life as like, well, I'm an entrepreneur, I was like, when you become an entrepreneur, it doesn't make your life any easier. It actually makes it probably like a million times harder. You have to work like 80 hours versus like the 40 hours that another job gives you. Um, but I would, make a work schedule so that I was still organized. Because like doing it at random is like not very smart. And like I would not drive during like traffic. No, that was just no.
So what times would you be driving?
I would drive from, I don't really too much remember. I think I would drive from like,
Before rush hour, after rush hour?
definitely before rush hour and then after. So pretty much any time between like,
Rough estimate.
I want to say like maybe 12 to like 4. But like 4 is like I already like started picking the rides that go back towards my house. And then after 6, like after 6:30, probably like 7. And that would be like good times to drive.
Till about what, 10 o'clock at night?
Sometimes it could be slow, sometimes it could be regular. It feels like regular, probably 10 or 11 or 12. But sometimes like I would come back at like 5 a.m. I remember like one day I came back from driving Uber and it was like 5 a.m. and that was when I got my first couch.
And okay, you've already given a schedule of how you would earn about $6,000, but were there people making more than 6,000 with Uber?
Oh yeah, for sure. If you have like a black truck, you're making way more. And if there was also this other thing, I forgot what it was called. Or if like you were Uber Comfort, you were making more money. Depends on your car, but also, I mean, if there's some Ubers in Atlanta that has like lights and like snacks and like just all this crazy shit, and you get more tips. I would get tips a lot. I will say that if you're doing Uber, business people give tips. It's not on their card. It's on their business card, so they don't care.
And what category was your car at the time?
I was just a regular Uber X. I could have been an Uber Comfort, but I just didn't apply for that, and then like I just never did.
Okay. Now, you would get comments like, hey, what's a pretty girl like you doing Uber? But would you ever showcase your music at all during these rides?
For sure. I've met a lot of people. I took Future's son home, the first one, his first son.
Baby Future?
Why am I forgetting his name now?
Prince?
I forgot his name. Is it something Cobain? I forgot. I follow him too.
King Kobe?
Yes. I took him home one time. I took one of the singers from this one band that was like really popular. I think like I forgot what band. I've taken all different types of people wherever they need to go. I would definitely play my music, yes. Sometimes I'll just be playing it just because I just didn't feel like playing anything else. And then they would be like, oh, what song is this? A lot of people loved my playlist. I don't know. I guess other Ubers, like now that I went back to taking Ubers, I noticed that they don't really play music like that. But I would be like bumping music. Not too loud, but like good music. I got a great playlist. And they would just, I always got compliments on my playlist. They'd be like, oh, I love your playlist. Like, I love that song, or I love the music you were playing, and get tips for it. Or a lot of people just talk to you. I don't know, a lot of people just vent. Because I was not one of those Uber drivers that was going to talk to you. I was definitely an Uber driver that was like, hello, I'm your driver. Cool, let's go. But all different types of people will vent. Sometimes it's easier to vent to a random person than somebody you know. So I've had all different types of conversations, all different types of stories told to me, heard all different types of things, and yeah, like some people would just be like, play your music, or when they talk to me, a lot of guys definitely would start being like, hey, so, what's your name or whatever, and what do you do, and, do you only do Uber or whatever, or how's Uber, is it good, blah, 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 and, I definitely would tell them that I'm an artist and stuff like that, and then I would play my music, and they always liked it.
Now, when you would play your music, would you play it like incognito in the sense to see what a person's organic feedback without you saying, hey, this is me, what do you think? Were you trying to gauge how good the song was, what people's reactions to it were without you saying anything about you being an artist or your artistry?
Yes, but I kind of feel like because you're in an Uber, whatever's playing in the background, you're not really paying attention. Like if it's like low enough, you're not really paying attention. So it's not like someone would be like, oh man, what song is this? That probably happened like twice or something. I don't know. But I didn't like take it to offense or anything. I would just be playing it low enough. And yeah, just yeah.
Would there be any comments on the opposite end of the spectrum like, I'm not feeling this song. Can we change it?
Oh, no. No, no, no. I feel like if someone was said that, I would be like, all right, get out. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't have done. But no, no, no. Yeah, no. They never, everyone would be really surprised. They'd be like, wow, like, you are so good at music. Why aren't you famous? And I'd just be like, oh, I'm on my way. I'm doing what I can.
So would that be a way to gain a fan base for you at all? Like, were you letting people know your socials? Would they be following? Would some of these writers be following you and keeping up with you and things of that nature? Or
Yeah. Yeah, they did. Well, some, not everyone. There was probably like, maybe like two. There's two people that I'm remembering that they were like, yeah, some guy I do like, now that I do live, a while ago, he came into my life. He's like, hey, remember me? I'm the Uber guy. But probably there is a good portion of people that I got their numbers or like I connected with them or whatever, and they ended up enjoying my music or coming to some events.
didn't know if you ever looked at driving Uber as a twofold experience. Okay, yes, you're making money from driving, but you're also showcasing your music and promoting it and promoting yourself as a recording artist, or it was more like an experiment for you. Okay, you're driving Uber, this is how you make money, but let me see if people can bob their head to this song. Let me see if they're going in the right direction with this type of music. Maybe you were playing unreleased or a song you were about to release, and just wanted to see what the organic feedback was without saying anything about your artistry. Didn't know how you were looking at it at one point with music and driving or having that job.
I was doing both. I saw it as a way to promote my music, but I mean, everyone has their days. So some days, like, I would be playing it. Some days I wasn't. I think it was more so, I remember, I think it's more so based on the customer too, because like, if I'm picking like a business person up from like the Delta, like the south side of the airport, they're probably not going to want to listen to my type of music. So I just play like more generic, like more mainstream music type of thing. But if I've been in that car all day and I've just been listening to the same playlist every like all day, like I would definitely change it to my music. And it was just a good source of like promotion as well as networking and connecting with people and stuff like that. I knew it was gonna do that. The first, one of the first people that I met, or no, my first ride was someone that was in Future's camp. So I ended up going to Future's studio through there, and then like it was just a cool experience. It didn't really last too long. I was like, I don't think this is the correct way to meet Future. So I ended up just kind of like distancing myself slowly. Not too bad. I mean, I still talk to the person here and there, but that was like my first ride. The first ride was taking that guy to Future's studio. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like, that's crazy.
They weren't taking you serious as an artist, they were taking you as something else.
No, they were taking me serious as an artist, but they were capping. They weren't capping. I definitely got to one time sit in a studio session of Futures, and watch how he recorded, and that was an amazing experience because he's one of my favorite artists, one of the people I not aspire to be like, but kind of like I definitely love Future. Like I love Future, and that was like a crazy like great experience for me. But I had already seen him like 4 other times in person too, but that was like the closest. It's just that they were kind of talking about themselves, like they had more power than they kind of did, and it was something I had to peep. They were getting like a lot of disrespect. I actually kind of felt bad, and then they also were trying to sign another artist, and she was kind of just the complete opposite of me. And the image that she was portraying was making her look a little crazy. And then I just didn't want that to reflect on me, so I just kind of stepped away.
Got it. Do you want to share any of these names that you're referencing here?
Oh no, man. I keep people's business. I'll tell the story, but I'll never give a face or a name. I like to just keep people's peace.
Just dotting the I's and crossing the T's here. Now, you've been very transparent about, well, before I even get into that, okay, would you credit this Uber job as getting you out of unbroke or unbrokeness, or however way you phrased it previously? You mentioned there was a time you were broke, and then there was a time you became unbroke. You said it's something of that nature.
Yeah.
Would you credit this Uber job as the way out for you, or was it something else perhaps? The pandemic checks, things of that nature.
So I did the Uber I did in 2021. That was after the pandemic. Well, I mean, Atlanta, the pandemic like didn't exist here, from so I had heard. But I started the pandemic. That was just the pandemic, and I came back in 2021, and yeah, that was literally what changed my whole life. I started making more money than than ever. And there's probably like a mix of that and like some promos or whatever, like working with companies as an influencer, but that one was really not too much paying. Like Uber was really like a solid like job. And I definitely had to like bite my tongue and like suck it up because every artist doesn't want to have a regular job, but it was either be broke for the rest of my life or make some money.
Now, you've been very transparent here with your journey, especially having an Uber job and being broke at one point and what got you out of it. Why so transparent when others are not?
I don't know. I don't know why they try to hide like their regular life before fame, because most of these, if not Nardwar, most of these platforms are gonna find it anyways. Like somebody has a picture or someone like is gonna be known, unless like you have that good of a PR team, or if you, I would say that maybe a lot of these people, I've met a lot of people that have never had a job. But I mean, I think it's part of the story. I think it's pretty noble. Like, I kind of feel like I'm pretty proud that I got it out the mud without having to do anything crazy. So I just tell the story because you never know. I mean, some people are really out here like wondering what they can do. And I'm here to share my story and pass on that knowledge to somebody else. Maybe it'll help somebody. You never know. Like, I'm a pretty transparent person. I don't think I have like nothing to hide.